Okay, I guess I just feel like talking today. So anyway, next installment. This is about the fourth part of that. God has a good plan for Tony Pace. God has a plan and it's good and it's for Tony Pace. Anyway, I didn't talk enough about the garden cottage that we moved to in San Jacinto Valley, here in the San Jacinto. So this so there's a main house on this property that I was on, and where we lived was, you had to go in order to get to where we live, this garden cottage. You actually had to drive around the corner into an alley to access this other little houses on this property. So there was an alley, and along the alley there was also another house back there, another little house, garden college on another property back there. And then it was an alley, so you on the next street over, parallel, there is a set of homes. So this is the backyard of all these different homes. And at the very end of this alley, there is a set of little apartments. So it's hoodish. We're in the country. We're in the hood part of the country. Let me put it that way. If you know what the hood is, and you know what the country is, you can imagine where we were. So it's this little alley. It's this little dirt alley, and in order to access the house, and it's kind of, well, the first thing I noticed was that little transient people in the area, that they all like to walk through this alley. Like, okay, yeah, little transient folks like to walk through this alley all the time, and they're pretty friendly. I shake my head, nod at them, and let them keep on walking, and then I find out too that this alley, I was like, oh my goodness, this alley is like every criminal in San Jacinto seems to know where this alley is. So we end up the police. I think the reason that they knew where I lived so good was because they would chase people through that alley all the time. And the funny thing is, we're in the country part. We're in San Jacinto. This is like 12 years ago. So San Jacinto is not as built up as it is right now. So people would be running from the police on their bike. People will be running from the police on foot. People will be running from the police on, they had a skateboard and they had to run with their skateboard on the police. But, a few times it got kind of serious because the police were looking for somebody that robbed one, like the corner liquor store over here, things. And then at one point, the police, they were all out in force, and they were looking for somebody that stabbed somebody, and they had ran through that alley. So they're trying to figure out which house or which backyard this dude had climbed over into and where he was hiding. So they got all these police officers out on foot. They're checking everybody's cars. They're out checking the yards, and they got the helicopter going. I mean, this went on for like 45 minutes, and I'm in the house confessing the peace of God. I got his peace, and I'm not going to panic. I'm confessing. I'm looking out the window. It's all lit up because the police helicopter and the police officers are outside, and then they got all their lights. It's at night, so they got it lit up with their headlights, and they got lit up with this police copter. And this police copter is literally, if I went outside, I could have grabbed a hold of the little things and got a ride kind of thing. They're close to the house. This goes on for like 45 minutes, and I'm inside the house, and like, God, your angels are protecting. We got ministering spirits. I got an angel. My daughter has an angel, and ministering spirits are here protecting us and keeping us. You got all these police officers outside, and obviously the person that stabbed that person ain't at my house, and he ain't in my yard nowhere. I checked all the windows. Like, is he in my yard? No, he can't get into that little garage we got. So this goes on, and this goes on for over 45 minutes with a helicopter. That's what got me. The helicopter flying overhead, circling for 45 minutes. That's what got me. Anyway, finally, everything kind of quiets down. I peek out the windows. They got everything roped off with that yellow tape that you see on Law and Order. They got everything, that crime scene tape roped off the alley. And then that's how I found out. I didn't know at the time that somebody had stabbed somebody till it got lighter. And then I needed to go out because my daughter's in preschool, and I was like, hey, I'm going to still take her to school. She's asleep. She is knocked out this entire time. She don't hear the helicopters, nothing. Anyway, she's not, thank God, because she didn't get to see me. Like, I had some moments there where I was like, okay, you need to get a hold of yourself right here now, girl. I'm like, but if it's just, I could get better hold of myself with this stupid helicopter and stop flying over the house all close. Anyway, so that they got everything roped out. They got the alley where they got crime scene tape all over the alley. So I literally can't drive my car through to get out unless I run through this scene. So I call my deputy friend person on the phone. He's out there, he's outside, and I ask him, hey, you guys got crime scene tape all up on my fence, and you got crime scene tape all up over the opening to the alley, and I need to take my daughter to school. Can I like move the tape so I can get out and come back in? He's like, oh, Tony, we'll move it for you. You can come out and come in. We caught whoever, and we think we've got what we needed to, what we need. You can come out and come in. So I do that. And, but, I told the, like, I dropped my daughter off at school, and I told the Lord, God, this can't keep being like a highway for criminals to keep coming up and down this street. Like, what's going on here? This is where, I don't understand how they all know about this alley, and this is where they run to when they run back and when they do something. So that's when, all this time I'm listening to Pastor Bill Winston, and Pastor Bill Winston is talking about taking our kingdom man-made and taking dominion. And I wasn't taught that, and I'm listening, I'm getting these different thoughts and things, and when he does this account, I've heard him give this several times since then, about this one woman, and she's in the hood, they up in Chicago, so she in the hood, for real, the concrete hood, and that kind of hood like that, and she buses into his church one day when they're doing a prayer service, Pastor Bill Winston's church, and she's telling him, hey, you need to help us take care of this, and he's like, I ain't the police, what I need to do, but he said that the Holy Ghost came upon him and told him, come up in here, woman, get up in this prayer circle. The woman gets up in the prayer circle, and Pastor Bill has this bottle of oil, and he anoints it, and he gives it to this woman and said, woman, you take this oil and you pour it down this street, down that block where there's drug dealers. She was telling them that there are drug dealers in her neighborhood, and they're out from like 12 in the morning until 12 at night. 12 in the afternoon until 12 at night, and they've taken over the neighborhood. People are scared to go outside. People are scared to walk down the street. And she's asking Pastor Bill, what you going to do about it? And Pastor Bill, I think he said the first thing he thought was, I ain't the popo. I ain't got to do nothing. But the Spirit Lord comes upon him and tells him exactly what to tell this woman to do. So he anoints the bottle of oil. She takes the bottle of oil. She leaves with the bottle of oil. And then he said that she comes back and I don't know when she comes back, but it wasn't that long afterwards. She comes back and she's like, Pastor, I did what you said. I took that oil, I poured it all up and down that block where them drug runners run, and we haven't seen them ever since I poured that. They packed up and they left. They never come back to her neighborhood to sell drugs on that corner anymore. So bless the Lord, right? So I got a bottle of oil in my kitchen. I was like, ooh, man, I got me some olive oil up in my kitchen too. And then I have a bottle of oil that was anointed by Pastor BAD. And I take this, I was like, well, it's like that alley is long, and the bottle of oil I have I got that little tiny bottle of Pompeii oil about that big that's been anointed by Pastor BAD. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I take this little tiny bottle, and I got a big old huge bottle of olive oil, and I pour the little bottle into the big bottle of olive oil, and then I get in my car, and at first I was like, I don't want nobody to see me doing it. I'm kind of embarrassed. They just had a all-night police chase come through my neighborhood where somebody stabbed somebody. I'm trying to act like I'm kind of embarrassed to take dominion over this alley and over my street. You're like, you better get in your car and do what you got to do. So I get in my car, and I have this big old bottle of olive oil, and I'm driving, and I got my hand out the window, and I'm pouring this oil all the way down this alley, and then I bust around the corner, and I bust in front of the big house onto the main street, and I basically encircled my entire neighborhood with this big old bottle of olive oil, and I'm binding every demon from here to Kalamazoo, man. I'm like, yeah, I circle around this alley, I come back in, and I felt peace. It's like, oh God, I felt peace. I took authority over this neighborhood. I took authority. This is where I live. This is where my daughter lives. This is where other innocent people live. And I'm taking authority over this neighborhood. No more police chase. No more drug activity. No more of this activity. So, honest to God, we didn't have no more activity over. The police weren't over. You didn't hear the police sirens over at our neighborhood anymore. There was no more police running up and down that alley anymore. People weren't running down. I don't know where they ran to after the alley was shut off, but honest to God, we didn't have any more chases through that alley. Nothing. It was quiet. It was already quiet anyway. That's what made it so interesting. It's a completely quiet little San Jacinto neighborhood, but it was just at night. You know that freaks come out at night, I guess. So anyway, at night stuff would be popping off, but it stopped popping off. It got real quiet over there. Um, Something else. Anyway, that's the end of this part. Okay.